Extremist militias across the country are rallying around Donald Trump's campaign. One of them is the Georgia Security Force. They're training with automatic weapons, preparing for the day when they fear a President Hillary Clinton may attempt to take their guns away. Let's discuss now. David Zucchino is a reporter for the New York Times who wrote about the Georgia Security Force, and also Chris Swecker is a former assistant director of the FBI. Thank you so much for joining us here. So David, you went to visit this group and you wrote an incredible piece. So tell me about the research and your reporting.
Well, I was trying to find someone from the far right who supported Donald Trump, and I went through several militia groups trying to get somebody to talk to me. Most of them wouldn't, but I finally came across this group, and they said I was welcome to come down when they did what they call a field training exercise, and they go out in the woods and fire their weapons, and it's sort of paramilitary training. Getting ready for the day that Hillary's going to come get their guns.
So what did you find out? What did your research show you about their training? What was the training like?
The training was doing low crawl, climbing over obstacles, a whole lot of target practice, and clearing rooms. They set up this sort of an imaginary system of rooms where they would practice knocking down doors and going in and clearing out enemy fighters who were basically paper targets. But
okay.
It's basically sort of Marine infantry training course.
Okay, let me read this. This is from your piece, a part of it. The Georgia Security Force is one of the scores of extremist militias nationwide that have rallied around the presidential campaign of Donald J. Trump, heartened by his harsh attacks on immigrants, Muslims, and Syrian refugees. But no single issue motivates militiamen more than guns, and the enduring belief that Hillary Clinton, despite her insistence that she is not anti-gun, is plotting to take them away. When Mr. Trump says he wants to make America great again, a message that has appealed to a broad segment of the electorate, Mr. Hill and his roughly 50 local militiamen are particularly enthralled. They long for an America they believe has been stolen from them by liberals, immigrants, and the PC crowd. Their America is one where Christianity is taught in schools, abortion is illegal, and immigrants hail from Europe, not faraway Muslim lands. So my question is, are these folks considered on the fringes of their communities down there, or do they have a lot of people around them who feel the same way?
There are a lot of people around him who feel the same way. I would say within the overall militia movement, these people aren't particularly extreme. I wouldn't call them, for instance, neo-Nazis or even white supremacists. I think they're white nationalists. Their big issue is guns and the fear of losing their guns. And secondly, they are afraid of Muslims. They think Syrian refugees, for instance, are all secretly ISIS fighters coming in to set up training camps.
Chris, how prevalent are groups like these in the United States? How many are there, and are they dangerous?
Well, back in the 80s, Don, there were somewhere around 800 groups like that, I think, according to the Southern Poverty Law Center. The FBI's eye on them has always been in the context of the potential domestic terrorism or hate crime type activities. I think they're somewhere between 200, 250, maybe as many as 300. But there's various. They run the whole spectrum of ideology. I don't think you can place them in one particular ideology. What we're watching, though, is, or what the FBI is watching for, is when they move out of the First Amendment realm, if you will, of assembly and speech into violence to affect their ideology.
Well, I want to ask you about their training now. What are they training for exactly, Chris?
Well, they've been doing this since the 80s. They don't like the federal government. They think the government's in their lives to the extreme. They think they're protecting their way of life, and part of that is guns. Part of it is just other issues, if you will. Some of them are you could almost classify as hate groups, but very few of them actually transcend or make that leap from that type of ideology to actually affecting violence and doing things through violent means. You'll see spin-off individuals like Timothy McVeigh from time to time, but these folks went to sleep in the late 90s, and we really haven't heard that much over the last 10, 15 years.
And so you're hearing about them now. I'm looking at the photos there, Chris, quick, before I get back to David. There are a lot of Confederate flags in those photos.
Yeah, no question. There is an ideology there. There are white supremacist groups, not all of them. They like their guns. They don't. They do up their membership and recruit membership by saying that people are going to take their guns away. That's something that's been going on for years. And they sprung up during the Reagan years and the Bush years. So I'm not sure it involves politics more than it does what they think is protecting their way of life from the federal government. Not making excuses for them, because we watched them very carefully and we very aggressively pursued them during my tenure in the FBI.
David, for 8 years, these folks have believed that President Obama would come for their guns. The president tried and failed to get some modest gun measures passed during his presidency. Why do they now believe that Clinton would come for their guns?
Well, I asked them that question, and they said the only reason President Obama hasn't gotten their guns is because they've been vigilant, they've stood up, they've been ready, and they've done all this training. And now they say Hillary really means that Hillary's going to be even worse. I tried to point out to him that Hillary Clinton has not said she was going to take people's guns away. She hasn't said anything of that sort. They say, well, she may not have said it, but that's her secret plan. These people are very, very paranoid. They're very suspicious. They sort of live in this universe of this, that things are just going to go to hell when Clinton gets elected.
Considering the climate around this campaign with the, it's rigged against you system, some Trump supporters around the country have been predicting violence in the aftermath of the election if Trump doesn't win. Is that a concern of yours?
Well, when I was talking to this group, they all predicted that there will be unrest at the very least, and possibly violence from both sides. They said, they claim Black Lives Matter is getting ready to go out in the streets if Donald streets. Fomenting unrest, and they said if Hillary makes any move at all to place any restrictions on gun or ammunition ownership, that they will be marching by the millions with their guns to Washington, D.C.
David, Chris, thank you very much.
Thank you.